Today, we're talking about how your brain and mine wasn't really built for modern life. And I think we're all pretty much on the same page with that one. Like, yeah, there's definitely some biology kicking around somewhere in there that's giving me the impression that I'm kind of at a disadvantage with all the dopamine hits that I have access to out in the regular world, and especially the digital world. Goodness. But it's worth noting because I think maybe we can forget about and kind of be swept up by the day-to-day activities. At least that certainly happens to me. And the conclusion that I think I came to recently is that I love being able to have something physical to work on. In this case, like the bus, for example, which is my every day from morning till night. Um, and I've heard this before. There was a time in my past, I don't remember who it was. I think it was a friend's father that was talking about how nice it was to be able to see the results of your work. And certainly, if you're putting together funnels or DMs and it's converting into something, there is a value there that you're able to hold on to. But there is something uniquely powerful about cutting wood and then putting that wood that you just cut into the shape of a box, like Legos. You open the Legos up and you put them into whatever the new shape is, right? There's a significance there that I don't think a lot of us get. It seems like a lot of the most well-paid things that are out there, especially in the world of influencers and AI, aren't really that tangible. Like you can't grab AI with your hands and shake it around or something like that, right? Um, and that's important because we've got our phones all the time. I certainly do. And not to mention, you've got like this world of choices. Like, what a luxury, to have so many choices at your disposal at a given moment. I mean, frankly, that's what causes all of the decision fatigue, which is probably my biggest struggle, is the decision fatigue that comes from all the choices I have in a given day. Not to mention the dopamine that's coming from these phones, as I mentioned. And, and that's just a small handful that we have access to, again, daily. I think, considering our history as a species, it stands to reason that we're pretty easy to hijack. Just in general, where we put our attention is oftentimes the stuff that bothers us the most, right? Take the case of Trump, if you like him or don't. Like, he's a character that is hard to ignore, and he's part of certainly American history at this point, and so it's kind of like we've gotten used to the thing. But there was a time, of course, that it was not necessarily like most of what you would see, and maybe even still, and if you were to look at the news, it'd be about he did this and he did that, right? And a lot of times it would be like, "Yeah, what the hell? This is awful. Can't stand this." And yet it was attention towards that thing. And as we all know, he has been elected again, regardless how you feel about the guy. There are, it's hard to, I mean, maybe on that vein, it's kind of important to keep that thread. Like there's a feature that we have in ourselves, probably from some evolutionary benefit that maybe since past, where if we have two options, one is to focus on the thing that we like, and the other is to focus on something that we don't like, that we want to get rid of, for example. Most of us, if left to our own devices, swept up in the current of like day-to-day happenings, will go to the negative. And that's often what'll happen with the phone when you're sitting there. And maybe you have a free moment, or maybe you don't, and you're delaying the thing that you know you have to do. I'm always there. And, or, in my case, I'll pull up oftentimes like, oh, I have to respond to this person. And then 5 minutes in, I'm like, what the fuck did I even come here for? That attention, right, used to be important, like on a really high level. And now we've got this attention that's constantly looking for the next delicious thing, but there's so many sources for it that are so accessible that our attention is being sucked from us. So I think all of this is basically driving to, if we're going to have a fighting chance at having this reptilian brain in a modern world, then we probably have to set up fences around our mind or routines around our practice for self-control over where we put it. And designing your environment in that way, in such a way that you have small reminders, I think are really significant. If you've ever seen that movie Inception, or if you're familiar with the concept in general of lucid dreaming, then you're familiar with the idea of having a token, which is something that only you know. Let's say it's this pen, for example. You know the exact weight. You know that the tip is heavier than the tail. And so you're able to in your dream, you're like, oh, am I dreaming? And then you can sort of weigh it. There's an ability that you gain from being able to have tokens in your life, that you're sort of recalibrating where you are and where you're trying to go. And for me, I think one of the biggest things, one of the biggest tools I have for that is working with my hands. I think it shows in a lot of little ways, like when I want to build Legos, and a lot of big ways when I'm building something, whether it be metal. I've recently learned how to weld. That was new, but it's fun. And I kind of look forward to it, even though I'm still kind of trash at it. Seems like it's holding together though. Woodworking, did that in middle school, learned how to do it. And ever since then, I've always just had kind of a affinity towards it. I love being able to mold that thing into shape. It's almost like the same pleasure that I feel riding a motorcycle than driving a car. There's just something very mechanical about it. You're right. When you're driving a motorcycle versus a car, like a car, certainly you could have, it does feel really cool to drive stick if you get the opportunity. But on a motorcycle, you're mostly, unless you get electric, which is crazy, those things are way too fast, don't do it. But when you're driving a motorcycle, like the standard one, you've got, your clutch on one foot and a brake there too. You've got a brake on your right. You've got another brake on your left. No, sorry. You've got your clutch on your left and your throttle somewhere in the mix, not to mention the shifting peg on your left foot. So, and that's if you're driving an American motorcycle, not to even speak of the British ones. Which sometimes the neutral and the other gears are in different positions. The neutral is located maybe at the bottom, maybe somewhere in the middle, right? So each one is a little bit different. But the point is, you've got all of these different things. You've got controls in your arms, on both hands. You've got controls on both feet. And there's a beauty in that. It's kind of it's like a power to be straddling this thundering vehicle that you have to sort of woo with all of these little tiny controls. I mean, I may be romanticizing it a lot, but I hope you're getting the picture that I'm painting here, is that most people would probably, who at least know how to or have seen it and wanted to, would probably say, yeah, driving a motorcycle would be fun. And I think all of these things are kind of connected, because the more that you subject yourself to intentional points of attention, the more control you have on where your attention goes. I think that's kind of how it works. And that's kind of a cool thing to know. That means that if you're running into situations where you are at the mercy of whatever is so interesting around you, like a TV, which I still struggle with. If you go to a restaurant and TV's somewhere in the corner of the room and it's facing you, I keep getting sucked out. And it's always been a problem since I was a kid. Some people I know it doesn't happen to at all. But as I've practiced some of these things over time, and it ebbs and flows of my strength levels at it. But if I'm fairly consistent, then I'm actually having better control of it. It's all these little things that contribute to it. So I guess the conclusion here is a few things. One, we can all agree that your brain and mine wasn't really built for modern life. It's sort of constantly looking to feed the things that we're not necessarily looking for, the things that are bothering us, or the things that are vying for our attention without us even deciding it. And yet, I think there's a strength in that. The silver lining is it urges us, that those of us that find it urgent enough to control or find ways to control our attention in spite of that, probably could not only have a stronger ability to then create what they want in life, but also find those things faster. Does that make sense? Because, like, if the barrier to entry on a controlled mind in the past was fairly low because there wasn't a whole lot of attention out there, well, now we have that same brain that's constantly vying for or constantly looking for whatever is the most interesting thing, just like readily out there. And I think that means because the hurdle is higher, the strength required in order to overcome it gives us power. So, more power than we might have had in the past. So I think from that, I can only surmise that it's okay that you're struggling to hold on to your attention. We all do. If you're able to crack that nut and maintain it, then you're probably able to manifest things that you'd like to see happen in the world a lot quicker. And I don't mean like you want it, you think it, and it happens. I mean like you want it, you think it, and you fucking do it, and it happens. I think those things become much more likely if someone in today's world, and maybe worlds that become more and more difficult over time with all the digital stuff that's out there, to bring what you want into existence on a smaller time frame. Do with that what you will. For me, I think I'm going to keep practicing a little bit, keep working with my hands, and maybe get back to meditating again sometime soon. Although I do struggle with that one still. Okay. Hope you have fun. Make friends out there. Bye-bye.